we'll go ahead and call the order at 6 p.m. September 18th. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call?
Mike Womack,
Here.
Patty Drew. Here. TJ Wilcox.
Here.
Diane Beatrice.
Here.
And Jan Song.
Here.
We have one minor, one addition to the agenda and then one addition. We're gonna add on 9.5, we're gonna add senior trip discussions. And on the very bottom of old business on our policies where it says revised, on the very last word, that is to be crossed out.
Which one? Do
Go
that
to your 7 point.
Okay.
What's that? Oh. Thank you.
And unless anybody's seen anything else they want to change or add, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion made by Dietrich, seconded by Womack. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Public comment, 4.0. Signed up. 5.0 financial report. If you've had a chance to review. Kenny, have anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I just apologize for getting this August out a little bit late. Been working on audit prep stuff. So anyway, I think we're all caught up on the board reports here.
Can I just ask really quick, is the OSAA, is that annual? Is that the annual fee there, or is it by season? It's Oregon School Board, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
School Activities Association.
Yes.
That's annual, okay.
Yeah, and it's for participation in like all this, the
Sports.
team sports
Mhm.
and band. And so
Yeah.
if we end up not participating in something, then we do get a refund.
Oh.
But if we don't check off the boxes and stuff, then our students can't participate in the
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
Is the shift, yes, is that a recurring or is that a?
That is the Galen Emmanuel, speaker that we had last year for professional development, and then he's coming back again this year on September 24th, and then working with the culture here. So it shouldn't be reoccurring. It was last year and then just this year.
So that payment was from last year and what he's currently gonna do?
No.
Or that was
Two
for
separate
last
ones.
year?
Yeah.
That's for a student investment, is that right? Student
Yes.
investment account.
Yeah. And the last year's was paid out of the NREN grant through the Northwest Regional USD.
No, the climate culture grant. Okay, we're all good?
He's worth it.
Yeah, I did hear a lot of good feedback from there. Try to get down there. 6.0, Mr. White.
So yeah, it's been a great first 2 weeks of school. Been able to get into a bunch of classrooms. It's been really nice to see a bunch of smiling faces and kids learning and having fun. So at the beginning of the year, since our last meeting, our elementary team was trained on the new CPLA literacy curriculum through Amplify. We had also a really great collaborative problem-solving training during PD, where our staff learned how to work with students to kind of troubleshoot problems and then create a plan together on how to move forward with those. So that was really great too. I think our staff really liked that. And then beyond that, whenever I have gone into the classroom so far this year, it's been really great to see kids making pickles and smoothies, but also going outside and using like laser levels and protractors and all that stuff to use the Pythagorean theorem to like measure the flagpole. That was really neat. What else was really cool about that is that we had a sub that day unexpectedly, and we had another one of our high school teachers jump in that teaches that subject and go out and help that class so they could really do a good job. And I think that has also been something that I've really noticed with everybody in our meetings is just kind of the collaborative atmosphere between the teachers. It's a really great team, and everybody's just really eager to work together. And we're also going to have a lot of really great field trips between now and the next meeting, so I'm going to be happy to share that stuff with you next time. Let's see. So PD Wednesdays are off to a great start. So with that professional development, staff are already working to identify areas of focus to develop their instruction for the year. They're not doing that just individually, but like I said, collaboratively. I think the staff is really excited to work together. And it extends into grade level meetings where teachers have already began to work together to brainstorm ideas on how to best support specific students through targeted interventions and instruction. And then that's it, is the fun stuff. So high school football and middle school and high school girls volleyball have both started. I think our girls varsity team just started, like as our meeting started, and our middle schoolers played 4. And then this weekend, middle school cross country is going to start, and then picture day is on the 2nd. So that's my report.
So we still have a football team.
So
Yes.
far.
Yeah.
Good, good, good.
It's 9, I believe, is that right? 9 students?
I think so, yeah.
10,
Maybe more.
It's 10.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Old business. We had 7.1 policy review. So everybody had the chance to go through most of those. Do you want to add anything on those?
The only thing I wanted to mention was, I'm just going to go through them really quickly. So the student fundraising activities on policy IGDF, it's that second and third paragraph, which I just want to make sure you're aware that was in the language on it. So second and third paragraph. I think it was just more OSB updates. The fundraising activity request form, that is new. So that will be a new addition for AR, which is very much needed for the district. And then computer technology. So I was working with Abby on a number of these things for the tech coordinator. Also had to get the ESD was out there on Friday in Beaverton this past Friday. And so artificial intelligence is really a big deal coming out of all the districts coming forward about how to prepare for a world that, according to ESD, Plateau County, Columbia County, whatnot, we're behind the times. So that's where some of this comes in place. So the computer technology deletion request, IIBG is there to make room for the new revised policy, which is responsible use of technology, which is geared more towards artificial intelligence, not so much software and actual hardware. This is actually living in the world that I don't understand very well as I'm looking at Abby, but out in the cloud and space, in that vicinity. So that's what that is for. And then also, IIBGA is the same thing before, but you'll see a lot of AI additions in Bloom. So that's what that was included for, to bring that into place. It does talk about this district superintendent providing more guidance and whatnot. I would expect you would see throughout the year more information coming through. And honestly, as the next few years go ahead, you're going to see a lot of the technology policies be updated pretty often. Let's see, the academic integrity, we didn't have one, a little surprising for me. Once again, with the discussions of AI, that's where this is only coming from, putting in a policy. So this is boilerplate straight out of OSBA, really academic integrity. And then artificial intelligence, here it is. This is the brand new one for IKJ. If this is approved, then I will reach out to my staff here and share this information as they will need to be privy about this specific policy as well as the academic integrity. This one does talk about independent student use as part of a class, and staff use, and staff professional development, and obviously FERPA confidentiality. But this I continue to see being updated at the local level and also at the state level as we get more information about how to enact this in school districts here. So, but that is a very much needed one. And then the last one is Lights proposal, taking JHCCF, as I proposed last time, for reading that with the new revised policy, which is completely brand new for the district. And it does have some restrictive components, as I said before at the last board meeting, that does put the district as potential for a little bit of risk if we come across this situation to the full end of the spectrum that's in the AR that I included. Do I foresee the district wanting to get there? Obviously, no. The district will do everything in its power to try not to get to that point. Well, it's still everything possible that we can before we ever get to that level. But beyond that, I am still recommending the staff to move forward with that policy as written through the AR.
The student fundraising activities, who's going to review the request, the written requests that they're,
So that should go through to the principal who makes approval for that one. And then it does go, I believe, to the business department after that.
so maintenance custodials don't have anything to do with looking at these to say,
No, unless
I'm not
there's-
sure we can do that one.
Unless there's a specific use of the building and they have to use the building's form of some sort to fill that out.
We also have like an event form that would be, like, we just signed one today for like homecoming stuff and it had a place on there for, maintenance custodial to sign off on like what they need to do, chairs for.
Yeah.
I make copies of that.
Okay.
I just give it to them.
Okay.
For me, this is step one, just saying, can we do this
Okay.
fundraising activity? And then if it's approved, then you go forward.
So those other stuff, okay. Okay.
Essentially, they'd be put on a calendar, and then if there's another class wanting to fundraise or do something, it would be a conflict, so they have to work that out. Correct. Right.
And it's also just to also have eyes from administration on the legalities of the fundraiser too, and liability wise, just different things like that, whether or not we can do the fundraiser.
We're on track helping them,
What is that?
and we're on track helping them get it all done.
Correct.
We used them all year last year, the fundraiser forms, our class used them and it worked great and it was super
Yeah,
good
but we
for
just
us
had a
too.
problem with it.
Well, and again, this was,
So there was no organization.
and Mike, this was never in place last year. This is something that.
So I'm just saying there's help to get them through this process and not just leave them hanging at the last minute.
And that's why you see these policies come into. Yep. That's exactly why they're here.
Maybe full agreement, so I don't have any questions.
Just that this AI is gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I.
It should be fun.
Well, if you're a teacher.
If it makes you feel better, we're not just opening AI up to students.
Oh, I understand, but they're gonna go on their own.
Yeah, well, and there's no way we can catch that
No.
with their phones, right? Because every AI has an app, like it's just impossible. But teaching the teachers how to recognize it is the big one. And I've already talked to the teachers that are gonna be impacted the most,
Yeah.
our writing teachers. And they're fully aware and we're in conversations of what it's gonna look like in their classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
They're gonna
my
have to use
question.
AI to track the AI, Steve.
Well, that's the problem.
Who's
we
got
run
the better
into,
app?
Is you can use an AI detection software all day long and it's not going to work. Like it just doesn't work.
So that's part of the discussion is also at the Northwood Regional about how do you train staff members to be able to look for whatever it is to look for.
That was my question. I mean, I can see there's language in there about training staff, and that would probably be a consistent ongoing thing as much as things change. But I didn't know where we are now at this point. with
Our
all
very
that.
beginning stages, that currently what's in the policy here is it's teacher-led within the individual
Okay.
classrooms to make those decisions for themselves. I was just talking with Abby, you don't mind I say this out loud, but at the USD on Friday, he's working with all the different districts in collaboration to create an AI task force work group. And so they're asking for anyone that has extensive knowledge or visions of how to utilize AI within the scope of education, and it doesn't matter what position you said you are in a district. So they have nominated somebody in the room to build that vision, and then they do have a calendar out for the next 8 to 9 months of where we're going as superintendents to learn more about what we can do for our district. So not scare anybody, not push all this stuff away, but actually incorporate it carefully because it's not going away. So how do we stay educated as adults, but also our students as well.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Nobody wants to read
You're
all
so
that.
good at
Okay.
Can we just do as presented, or have to read each one of them?
Each one.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented IGDF student fundraising activities, and IDGF AR fundraising activity request. We're going, do you want me to read the deleted ones also, or just the new ones?
I read it all, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And delete the current IIBG computer technology and revised IIGB responsible use of technology, revised IIBGA electronic communication system, new IKI academic integrity, and new IKJ artificial intelligence. We're going to delete the current JHCCF Pedulos headlines, policy revised JHCCF Pedulos headlines policy, and new JHCCF.AR Pedulos headlines.
I
That's
second.
presented.
Motion made by Dr. Drew, seconded by Dr. Dietrich. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yes. New business, 8.1, House Bill 3083, panic alarm systems.
All right, so this is known as the Alyssa's Law. So honoring Alyssa, and I apologize for the pronunciation of the last name here. ALHADEFF. I think it's AHADEF. The law is named after Alyssa, a 14-year-old student killed in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2018. So a number of states have taken this on. So Alyssa's Law is state legislation named after the victim Alyssa here that requires public schools to implement silent panic alarm systems directly linked to law enforcement to accelerate response time during emergencies like active shooter events. So Oregon school districts are required by the Alyssa's Law to consider, now it's kind of wishy-washy in the language here, to consider and implement wireless or wearable silent panic alarm systems linked directly to first responders, such as 911. The law doesn't mandate panic buttons for every classroom, but it requires at least one device per school district to connect directly with emergency services during a crisis. This measure aims to improve safety and reduce response time in emergencies. Obviously, you can think about a location we're at, that would play a big situation in there. So Oregon schools receive a reimbursement of up to $2,000 per school for installing wireless panic alarm systems through the state's Wireless Panic Alarm Grant Program. This funding originated from a legislative allocation of $2.5 million in the state of Oregon. And so for myself, bringing it to the board, this is a board item that for discussion, the board have to make the approval of this one. That whether we want to do something in terms of getting just I don't want to say a simple device, but a device at the front office, where my recommendation, one at the front office and one in another office space in the central office area. So if there's a situation that we don't have one area for that, we have two locations for a panic button. Or is the other side of it, which is what they had in, I forget where it was, there's unfortunately so many school shootings that have taken place, but where the teachers, staff members had silent buttons attached to their clothing. And so they would press the button on one of the cases that took place. And what it did, I don't know how the technology works, but it did alert to staff members where that was coming from, where that button was being pressed, or who was being pressed.
I hope it's not cellular.
I don't know. I don't know.
Goes through CenturyLink, we're good.
Have we thought about getting rid of CenturyLink and going to Starlink?
We have. We actually looked into their enterprise when they first launched it. It's not feasible for us right now with the bandwidth that we need in order for our district. I know we're small, but with what we need, they can't offer us it right now. But trust me, I work in my tail off to get CenturyLink out of the door because it's just a nightmare every time we have to redo our contract with them. It's just Starlink isn't feasible for us right now.
Well, you're just lucky it works half the time.
So they have installed fiber optic along 103 and 202, so I'm not sure
It
it's
hasn't
live.
made it to us yet.
Yeah, so maybe if somebody buys it out that will actually maintain it,
And that's the problem is, these big companies get into the projects to bring fiber out here and they're like, oh, gung ho, and then they realize just how expensive it is to get to us because of the geography and us being in the mountains, and it becomes quickly more than they want it to bite off,
Mhm.
so.
So I mean, basically what we're asking is whether they want to implement a wireless system or, as they said, wearable panic alarms that Scott would be aware.
I like the little idea of having each teacher have a little button.
And I hate to say cost, I mean, obviously cost
Yeah.
is a discussion as well, but it's $2,000 we have. Anything over that, obviously, the rotation and all that, get the cost of the district.
Accidentally pushing it. That's gonna happen.
Depending on the system, there could be a subscription cost, which skyrockets at yearly.
Or more, so yeah.
Yeah, do we have any idea what the cost would cost, to be to have something in every room?
More than $2,000.
Right.
I was thinking more or less one at the front office and one at another location.
That's not a bad idea.
And I will say, I've heard a lot of
Absolutely.
feedback about the wearable ones where you do get a lot of the accidental, but typically they make it to where it has to like click so that it doesn't accidentally
Mhm.
send.
Because that's gotta be one of the first things the company probably had discussed already.
But we've done nothing about actually seeing how much each of these is going to cost.
No, I'm assuming they're gonna be around the 2,000,
$2,000,
which is why they're trying to help each of the school districts out. But as Abby said, once you start getting into
Yeah.
potentially there's other components of it's gonna be quite a bit more. Yeah.
What's
And
the
then
time
they'll
frame
say-
on this?
So on this, there's no time frame.
No
on this.
time
It's
frame.
just they want the discussion to take place so the district
Okay.
can figure out what's forward. how they
So
want to-
the board would be willing to use the $2,000 grant money to invest into one or two spots, whatever we can get.
Mhm.
The grant
Correct,
funds,
yep.
right? So I mean, I think, so you're looking for a consensus?
Yep, from board, yes. So we can forward them, see what's out there.
I'm fine with looking into, a couple options.
I think it'd be foolish not to.
Oh, yeah.
Well, technically, it is a lockdown, so they have to come through the front door.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Right?
Don't ever assume that.
Yeah,
Never,
I'm not
never,
saying
never
it's in
assume
that,
that.
I'm just saying that
No.
technically, everyone's supposed to come through the front door.
Well, they're gonna shoot glass out, get in another way.
No, you're gonna have a student that's gonna open the door for them.
Sure.
I don't
Every
think
time.
you need a panic alarm
Yeah.
at that
Every
point.
Yep.
He's already sent it off.
Yeah, panic's great.
It's already started, so
Gym or locker
that's
room.
behind the fact.
I mean, I don't know how much, the rear of the building is manned by anybody in particular, if it makes sense to have both ends kind of covered, but it doesn't really make sense unless no one's there,
It's not other than RP stuff over there. Yeah. So.
These things are always hard to talk about, right? But let's get real about it. This is a sitting duck for an event like that. Law enforcement is not just a call away out here, right? It would be a long time before help could get here.
And I've also talked with staff, and we've done it over the years, since I've been in the chair 3 years, making sure every year, keep your doors closed. Todd, I'm sorry, sure, doors closed. And I also think about the front office, and it's gonna be transparent. We have the locking system up front, but I've also implemented a security camera. I know we're in public session, but it doesn't hurt people here. Got a security camera that our front office people are able to look outside and see who's approaching the district all the time.
Yeah.
That's another new one we did last year.
But still, it's not enough.
None of it probably buys you enough time
No.
to get the help you need here, so anything we can do, especially if it's
Yeah.
not a cost for us right off the
Yeah.
bat, and if it works good, we want to expand it, we can
Hopefully.
look at budgeting something next year to bring it in. It's like a no-brainer to me.
If it's available, we should at least.
100%.
I'll bring some information next. board meeting.
Okay, 8.2, high school sex education health curriculum.
Okay, now it feels like we have already had these discussions, but we only had them at the elementary and middle school level throughout last year. So I want to bring to you with our new PE teacher in the district. We also have a mentorship going through with our PE teacher who is hired PE and health instructor for multiple years here. And so all three of us have been talking about how's this going to look. And so obviously we want school input, we want board input, we want community input as well. So going online for the state of Oregon for their curriculum adoption for the health, program for high school, mind you, we have the Great Body Workshop, which we got the last round, and then we have the second step program also for the elementary. So I can go for both elementary and middle school. But for high school, we have the Glencoe version, which is fairly dated. And so looking online, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 program adoptions that they have for the high school level, but the state only recognizes one of them that actually meets all criteria for state standards, and that would be the Human Kinetics program. I believe Seaside School District is currently utilizing that. It's, I believe, who our mentor and PE teacher I've been talking to. And the program title is Live Well Comprehensive High School Health. And so I'm just informing the board, I'm not asking for anything other than informing the board that the PE teacher, Mr. Beatty, and then the mentorship, Ms. Jack Fix, and myself, and also I'm going to throw Mr. White into it as well. I would like to put together a, kind of like we did the last one, we bring things over into the front office for review for people to come and take a look at. And if we can find an online version of it, then we can sit down with a code or something where people can express some information, get insight to it, and look at it. They can do so here, and then leave room for people to make comments, so we can hear what they think about it. So some of the next 3 weeks, I'd like to get this movement off the ground because we already started our health program for the high school kids. The hot topic subject matters, I've had a few families reach out, how we're going to handle those things. And I said, we aren't going to touch the hot subject matters until probably mid or second week of December. And so notifications will go home. We're working currently with what we have right now. We'll make it work through the time period we need to make it work. Nothing that we haven't done in the district's past is now being discussed and taught over the years. But right now, those type of subject matters won't happen until after mid-December. So hopefully my thought is get this up in front of the community, school board through probably end of October. And then by November, we can hopefully discuss if we want to move forward with it. So.
Don't sound like you have a lot of options.
I remember not.
Tell us there's 8 things, but only one's approved, so. So, I mean, will Beatty be able to kind of review this? And he'll be the one teaching the health classes, right?
Correct.
So,
And we have,
so the counselor's not so much involved with.
no, this will be PE teacher, health teacher for the district of this. And like I said, he has mentorship. He actually has 2 mentors going through right now. Plus also we have some trainings that we will, and I do mean we will be sending them to go through the health program.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, 8.3, board policy updates.
All right, so I threw quite a few more policies. The first few are in regards to the governor's new mandate about cell phones. Now, obviously, we've gone through our spiel last year, but we don't have a specific board policy about cell phones. So this is where we're going into that mix right now. So policy JFCEB, personal electronic devices. This must be adopted in place by October 31st in the state of Oregon. And this is the one where I just want to make sure, and this one, at least I think I apologize, because we have, if you go online, it's going to be transparent. If you go online and find JFCEB, we do have a policy. It does not look anything like that at all. So that one will need to be deleted. So you might want to make note of that one. That's the one I was looking at earlier today, that will need to be deleted if we're going to go forward with it. So the current JFCEB. And then replace it with current policy. If that makes sense. Yeah.
This is
So
one that
this is-
OSBA has.
This
Yep.
is the one that was adopted in 2015,
Correct.
so that's what we're deleting.
So this is, the current one we have is 2015 and it's not in there.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
It just shows that when we had, the last time it was adopted for this policy, it was in 2015. And so this is what's been replaced. This has been a challenge for OSBA to put together simply because of the demands of what that looks like for all different school districts. And it's not a funded mandate either. So that makes it even more challenging for school districts to implement how to go forth and do this. You've got potentially thousands of kids in your district.
Have we been pretty successful with cell phones since school started?
Yeah, I've heard very little, but anything.
Good. Are we still using the odor pouches or are we just trusting the kids to?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no other pouches. I those off to the side.
Okay.
It was a step beyond, in my opinion, with discussions with a few others as well, but it was a step way beyond where I thought we should have gone. But I didn't want to implement something and pull back within a couple of months. I decided, no, let's just see how this goes for the rest of the year, but by the end, with enough discussions, so no, people need to go that route. And we're,
Probably have less problems now than they had.
what is that?
I said you probably have less problems now than you had the last couple
You were
of years.
correct, we had more problems with them. Yeah, you're correct. And then let's see, just because of this also JFCEBAR, the current one is in here, it says delete, that is correct. The new one, as you notice, they took off with social media, the new one, ACR says request for personal electronic devices exception. So this is where, it's 2 pages here, families can make a request to have their, have access to electronic device within the school. And so this is where we go through, and they would have to explain why is it that they're making a request for a child to have access to a cell phone or smartwatches or whatever it might be, the earpod things that they have sometimes. So that's what this policy is for.
That works. That'll cover the IEPs.
Correct. Yep. Because it's in here for the specific education outcomes for the students. Yeah, accommodate individual circumstances. So yeah, it's in here for that. Any questions on that one? And then deleting JHCA, so this is for sports, basically, sport, physical, extracurricular sports. If you see the deletion proposal and go to the other proposed, which is the JHCA immunization, school sports participation, but more specifically, they're really pushing for the concussions and other brain injuries. That is a big push. So they talked about immunization, school sports, but also concussions and other brain injuries. And so it goes through that process, and it talks about making sure we have individuals who are trained in the district to identify what concussions look like and whatnot. It's very well spelled out, and it goes one step even further, which this is a newer one for me. I pulled this off, but it was no ODE. This is the next page. It's the ITAP, the Immediate and Temporary Accommodations Plan. And so I'm going to read here. It says a concussion or other brain injury can significantly affect a student's ability to participate in learning by impacting physical, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral functioning. Each student's recovery is unique and may include periods of progress and setbacks. So a timely symptom-based response, including temporary physical, cognitive, and social emotional accommodations, is critical to ensuring safety, supporting recovery, and promoting continued access to education. So House Bill 3007 came out in 2025 this year, and then the OER that they provide. Public education providers are now required to follow ODE's brain injury procedure and to use this immediate temporary accommodations plan called the ITAP. And so obviously they walk you through what that looks like and helps provide accommodations for students who had a major impact on their brain.
And I realize that any sport that you do, you can end up with a brain injury. But specifically for our football guys, are our helmets up to code?
Okay, Prima is very much on top of that.
Okay.
Every 5 years, 10 years to replace. And they actually, most teams we go play actually are jealous on our helmets because we have a buff, but most schools buy.
When was the last time we got new ones?
We get them all the time.
Yeah, we,
They're
Every year.
constantly, they're not all due at one time.
Yeah.
So they expire over time.
he got some new shipments in the spring, because I remember hauling them out in all with,
Okay.
or not y'all with the UPS.
You probably buy them.
Seemed to me we got them once a year.
And we also bought guardian caps for some of the kids that wish Quest to have them. So that goes on top of the helmets.
Okay,
They increase that. They're very strict on concussions in football.
okay.
And we do get them recertified every year, I think.
That's
Every
what I
year.
thought, that they would.
Yeah.
I think it's every year, every 2 years, but I believe it's every year they're recertified. I think it's 10 years, they're garbage, they're thrown out. And they're staggered, so they're not all at one time. Plus the guardian caps on top of that. And all of the coaches go through a concussion training. Every coach. Doesn't matter where you're
Well,
sitting.
yeah, because you could fall down playing volleyball and whack your head. I mean, that's.
My daughter got one out of the locker in the hallway, so.
I have a question. The ITAP form talks about a brain injury management team.
Mhm.
I'm assuming there's also a doctor in there somewhere, but does it define who's supposed to be on?
For me, so this would be the district one with the doctor. So this would be really athletic director, coach, parents, and doctor. So again, if this goes through, this will be obviously, I'll be sending this out to staff as well. And then, the next one, this is more, so I want to make sure, because it's, how do I say this? So this is JO/IGBABAR, and there's another one also at the very back of your policies. It's exactly the same one with the letters reversed. So if you wouldn't mind going with me through this, because I want to make sure that the only changes, there's nothing other than just organization wise, but it's not expressed here, where I was thinking it was. So if you go to page 3, where you see number 4. So page 3, number 4, where it says parents are eligible students. And then go all the way down, it says D, and it says DE. That is correct. What was there originally in this original document, it was AB. So AB should have been in here crossed out, and we're just making it D. So what you see is correct. That it should have had the AB written in there. Probably we should have crossed it off, but that's not it. But otherwise, as you see it, it is correct. That's what they're making recommendation. Page 4 is fine. Page 5 is fine. There's no change of information here. Page 6 is fine. 7 is fine. And then the last one, page 8, same thing. You see the letter D and E on the final page of this policy. That really is A, B in our current policy. We're just crossing them off and making it D, E. And then FG is also the current policy, A, B. So they're just making it more uniform. That's all. But the language is not changed at all. Directory information. Got the last 2 policies here. JOA. This, at least I got a text because maybe I didn't quite express it right here. The removal, because I want to make sure you're aware is being proposed to be removed from the policies. Again, this is directly from OSBA based off of OARs here. So currently you see on the proposed student name in the directory information, student's photograph, major field of study, participation in officially recognized activities in sports, weight and height of members of athletic teams, dates of attendance, and grade level. What OSBA is now saying we need to remove, a requirement by the state here is remove student address. So that should have been on here crossed off, but student address is not on here, which I'm asking to be removed. Student telephone listing, date and place of birth, diploma, honors, and awards received, and most recent previous school or program attended. Those all 5 things have been removed from the current policies. So what you see is required by law to be on there. The other ones are not in here. And so I can have a lease. I can have you, we can resend those out with those crossed out policies so you can see them.
Just curious, why would we be removing the prior awards and stuff?
Yeah,
It's interesting.
That one I don't know. I can see student address and telephone listings in place of birth, but I don't know about honors and awards
Yeah.
in previous school.
But we're not necessarily required to remove those. They're just not required to be on there anymore.
Oh, I thought you were telling us if they wanted us to take them out.
OSBA. So I'll get those on. I know which place. Then the last one is the same one that we just went over. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the last one, but this one is with the corrections. So page 3 of IGBABJOAR. So page 3, if you see letter A down there, it says provide a written bid request. That should be letter D. And the one at the B should be crossed off also should be E. So you're gonna have A, B, C, D. It's correct in the other policy, but this one is backwards. And then page 7. Very bottom of page 7, it says letter A and B. That should really be D and E. So, and turn the page, got A and B again, that should be F. And the letter should be. And that's all.
It wouldn't be E and F, or
C and D,
C and D, yeah.
page 8.
So page 7, I got A, B, C, D, E, and it goes on the next page to F and
F
G.
and G.
Okay,
Probably not.
And that'll make it back to the policy.
okay.
Did they change it? Well, like math?
So can you explain to me
It's
why
called for alphabet.
we have the same policy but with the slightly altered title?
Why is it? why
Yeah,
is it double?
code name, whatever you call it.
One is under the students and one
Oh,
is
that's correct.
just
Thank
a
you. Yep.
policy.
Yeah.
What is what?
One is specific to students and the other one is district. policy.
I see, thank
Trying
you.
to align them all.
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to make them, yeah.
Thank you.
And then I thought I had one more, but I have two more here, sorry. So this is IGBHD program exemptions. This is based off of OR 58102100009. That first sentence is currently in our current policy. The rest of that is in our policy, but they changed, they shuffled language to make it a little bit more precise and expressed. It says prior language said that requests shall be developed by the superintendent. And so this is the language that they're providing for all superintendents. It was iterated in a couple sentences, but now requests for excusal or accommodations must be in writing. So now it's very specifically saying how to handle this to parents and families. So it spells out what that looks like. Otherwise, it didn't say, it just said, basically the superintendent will make recommendations about how that policy will look. But it's been that way since 2015. And then the final one, graduation requirements, page 4. This is out of OSBA. The only change they put in here was on page 4. And it's literally one sentence. It says number 10, with a little 14 next to it, demonstrate proficiency in essential skills of reading, writing, and applying mathematics in a variety of settings. That's the only change for the policy writings and graduation requirements.
Are they state requirements?
They
You
are,
just have to learn how to read.
but they will not be required until, for students to graduate until 27-28 school year. So we've got 2 more years. So they weren't required before. Well.
No kid left behind.
I think we were all asking ourselves that question.
Yes, said it. Yeah, but Oregon is pretty low. I mean, if you've seen the results that come out of our placement in the country, they're quite low.
Well, I know they changed quite a bit after 2020 there for a little bit.
I think we're fourth from the bottom,
Mhm.
fourth or fifth from the bottom.
Yeah.
In the country.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all.
Okay, 9.0 superintendent report. 9.1 community voice panel.
So I came to you before, sorry, I have my stuff here. So I gave you a month and a half ago, so it was our July board meeting, talked about, make sure I get this right, Oregon Senate Bill 732, which is also known as the Equity Committee. And I was having a discussion with Mr. White, also Principal White, about the Advisory School Council. And I'm going to have you speak about that maybe in just a moment here. And the idea is to build I'm calling it a community voices panel, a CVP. That's just something I came up with. It doesn't have to be that title, but I wanted to get the word equity out because I'm looking at this going, I understand the verbiage, but I want this committee to be more than just an equity committee. I want it to be a number of things. So this is a letter I put together that I have thoughts in mind about sending out to very specific people at the moment, and then opening up also for individuals that want to engage in this. So this is a letter that I said, that I wrote out on Saturday here. So I'm writing to personally invite you to serve as a volunteer member of the Jewel School District's Community Voices Panel, the CVP, which is a new initiative aligned with Oregon Senate Bill 732 and our district's ongoing commitment to equity, transparency, and continuous improvement for the district. As a superintendent, I believe that the voices of our community members are vital to shaping policies and practices that truly reflect the values and needs of our students, families, and staff, and their perspective and experience bring great value to this panel, and I'd be honored to have you join. So this panel is being established to serve as a diverse community-based advisory group. Some of this terminology is based off of the Senate bill itself. And I'd be honored, community-based advisory group to the superintendent. It used to be to the board when I came to you. We have since changed that for districts that have under 300 students. It's now an advisory to the superintendent instead of to the board. So it is advising, the core responsibilities is to advise the district on matters of student outcomes and inclusive practices, and equity is guided by Senate Bill 732, which I shared with the board back in July. I have one pager of all those components on that list there. And reviewing and providing feedback on district policies. So for example, tonight, if we pass policies, this committee could take a look at those policies and say, how does that impact our students and our community, school community? And then the superintendent have discussions about that, good or bad, or anything in between. And review procedures and initiatives, identifying what's working well, what might need to be changed, adjusted, or improved to better serve our students, and supporting a positive student-centered cultural/district climate through ongoing dialogue collaboration. I said we're looking to seek volunteers to attend regularly, once a month, for a meeting together, review relevant materials and contribute thoughtful feedback. That's based usually off after a board meeting. Engage respectfully with fellow panel members from diverse backgrounds and perspectives. Serve in an advisory, non-decision-making capacity. Remember, this is not to make decisions for the district, but it's to provide feedback and information, having a voice. And uphold the values of confidentiality, respect, and shared commitment to our district's mission. And I said the term of service is 1 year, but it could continue beyond that. This is a requirement, by the way. I didn't start off with that. I said that when we first introduced this, but this is a requirement of all districts in the state. We're going to have a district equity committee. And I just basically said, please, let me know by a certain date here. If you have any questions, reach out, talk with me. Sam, in Alaska, you and I have talked about this a number of times, and I know I keep asking you about the acronym for ASC. So I wanted to incorporate this component I talked to you about, and I tried to throw some verbiage in here with that as well, but would you mind expressing a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so in Alaska, every school has to have an advisory school counselor. Like here, you may have seen something like a site council or something like that. And basically it's just kind of a less formal version of a board on a school level. So it's not so intimidating. You don't have to do all the yays and nays and ayes and motions because that can be kind of scary sometimes. But yeah, we would sit down and we would meet once a month for about 2 hours, and we would sit down and talk about things at the school. You typically would have like a teacher and then, like an EA or a paraprofessional, and then parents and students and like community members. Maybe that, there it's a little different, but there's usually like 1 or 2 lodges, and sometimes that person would be on that too. But we would just sit down, we'd look at like if students brought up that they thought that policy was unfair or, targeting a certain group of people, then, and I mean, typically it's about dress code and stuff like that. We would look at that policy and we would talk about it, and then we would get that feedback and give it to, whoever's in charge of that kind of stuff. And that's what we do it. We also did it with, our schedule. So like switching to a 4-day schedule, that was a big thing that people gave their input on. Our CTE program. And what's really helpful about it too is that there we could also use it for our migrant ed committee, because that was a big deal there, and our indigenous ed, because that was a big deal there too. So we could use that to meet all the requirements for our stakeholder groups, to where you're not asking, a ton of time from people, because we can hit all those subjects during those meetings. So.
I mentioned, Sam, also one of our policies are going to jump on is our wellness policy, which needs to be updated every 3 years and needs to be looked at by a wellness committee. Well, the district doesn't have a wellness committee. So I thought, well, this is, again, if this is looking at policies and other things, initiative for the district, we could encompass a number of these things utilizing this organization that's already going to be, is required by the state of Oregon, for sure. So that's where I'm at right now, wanting to reach out in the next couple of weeks here, get this thing moving. And start reaching out to specific people, and then getting a notice out there also for the community to see if anybody would be interested. I'm not going to say just because somebody reaches out, if we had 20 people reach out, I can't take all 20 people. But I still want to get information out there to find out if families would be interested. This is it's a fairly new thing here. And for our small, tiny district, all these different committees that are being asked of a lot of districts, I speak of Mr. White, so this is going to be challenging. How can we not have this many committees, but also not overwhelm them? That's part of my concern also with this.
How could we have that committee review the policies prior to us voting the policies? It would make more sense to me if they reviewed it, they think there's an equity issue,
it's mentioned to you, it's vetted through our attorney if we have to do, because a lot of times we're kind of bound by laws.
Before it gets to you guys.
Right, so I mean, we're relying on something that's already been vetted by OSBA or somebody to, or our policies. In my mind, I guess it'd be great if they go that route, they review the policies and they come to you saying, yeah, there's no concerns, we don't have any concerns. Or if there is a concern, you can at least have time to vet it through whoever we need to before we review it. Because if we're gonna change the policy, possibly.
So go through cycle where it goes through this committee
Right.
first.
I mean, I guess that would make more sense for us to approve a policy that next month have to change it for some reason because it does. Just, if we have a group of people that are gonna review it prior, they may.
A quick example, like whenever we did our cell phone policy at school, I worked at called McKiskey. The prior, like May, we worked with the ASC to come up with a survey to send out to the community. So like the ASC actually made it, I didn't make it. So like it's community driven, and then we would get that feedback from the parents, and then from the students and all that, and then we would take that back to the ASC. And then based off of that, we gave our suggestion for the cell phone policy. And then this is when I was at AP and I had a principal, and then the principal did that. And then he used that to guide the cell phone policy. So that's kind of how that worked.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like having, somebody that's looking at it from that lens before we do, and then you give us a recommendation like, yeah, the committee has a couple of concerns that we're kind of, it's not always gonna make them happy, I guess, either way, but.
Yeah.
But at least,
That'd be nice.
it involves, people are heard. And,
Well, that's ultimately what this is for. Yep. Sure that community is part of it. And I did say community voices because it is staff, it is families and students. So that really is every aspect of it.
And even if the committee wouldn't see stuff before we implement it, or even if they have, and maybe they were fine at that point, something could come up in intervening time and, still have some feedback on it, so.
And I don't know how it was over in Alaska, but this would be driven by this organization, but by this council or committee, whatever we decide to call it here. But it wouldn't be directed from the district. You must look at these, and I mean, this is all based on how they want to go through that. You see the need. I like the idea of them having a recommendation prior, and then if there's concern with whatever reason, they have a chance to come here and speak, what they to tell us before we vote on it. Okay. Any other feedback? Because I'm going to be moving on this next week here. Who wants to be on it? I got 2 volunteers already, I know that. 9.2 SBHC update. Okay, I don't know if anybody read the article in the Historian at all, September 9th. So I was reached out by Sherry Ford. She is the director of the School-Based Health Center of the Columbia Health Services. And I won't read the whole article, I just read off the verbiage here. But basically, United States Senator Jeff Merkley met with healthcare professionals on Friday at the Oregon State University Seaford Center over in Astoria. And our director over here, Sherry Ford, was part of those conversations. And with the big beautiful bill, which I think everybody knows what that is at the federal level, also known in this case here, House of Representatives 1. So if I reference HR 1, that's what I'm referencing, the big beautiful bill. It's going to cut over $1 trillion over 10 years from federal health care and food assistance programs. So you might know where I'm headed with this conversation. So Sherry Ford was fielding conversations. She called me and left a message, and I left one more message back for her. And we've been back and forth on a couple emails here. But one of the discussions was, according to the Providence system anticipates reductions in Medicaid reimbursements to impact the local county areas by $100 billion in their funding for their programs. And one of the areas that's going to be completely impacted is the local school-based health centers. And so Sherry Ford, I'm just going to read what she said. Sherry Ford, Director of Columbia Health Services, said the cuts in HR 1 could mean some rural operations like the one in Jules, she quoted our district here, may close their doors. So this is new. This is brand new to me. She says we're a 10% cut in Medicaid funding means the closure of one of our school-based health centers. Currently, CHS operates 5 such centers, it's Columbia Health Services, in the past 6 months, and they have seen 2,700 Medicaid members, primarily kids. She did contact me and said that they are going to be working on shuffling funds around and whatnot to do their darndest to keep this center open for our kids here. And at the current moment, we're still pushing forward. This is not the intent that I had for the board meeting today. I was going to present you with my informational sheets that we're going to send to the community with the survey about who utilize the center. But at this point, I'm going to hold off until I know whether this is going forward. Because this, how can I say this? I was part of a group called Resilient Clatsop County. I was on their site council as of last year. And we had summer break take place. I came back to resume that site council in July, only to find out that the funding was pulled immediately. And the gentleman that I had worked with, who had been in the business for RCC for over 10, 11 years, was cut immediately. I mean, gone. Like the whole thing just dispersed, and I didn't realize things were acting to that level to that quick, and it was. So that site council that I had done, all the work that we put on, Shelley Alfred, myself went to the first ever convening, and it was buzzing. I mean, you had every entity out there: fire, police, medical personnel, school districts, counselors. I mean, it was exciting. We walked down there pumped, excited, and then within a month or two, it was disbanded because there's no funds. They were pulled. So that what concerns me about this is I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping we don't get to that point where this is just getting to be delayed in the next month or two. So sure, I need to connect more, but at the current moment, other than me advocating for the center, there's not a lot I can do to currently stop this thing from moving forward. The funds just simply aren't there. So she's working on it right now to figure out how to shuffle those things around to keep it up.
Okay. Well, hopefully they find some money. I mean, you will be on the chopping block as well, I imagine.
All five of their centers would be impacted. Yeah.
Okay, 9.3, water hydrologist.
Okay. So I brought this up to you a number of times. For the most part, most people know we've been hauling water for a while, and I believe, I don't know how much exactly, $700 or so a load. I'm just counting.
I haven't seen invoices yet this year. I don't know. Has
I
Mike?
haven't seen one from Mike at all.
No,
Okay, because I know we've
we've had loads, so.
had about 4 or 5 loads of water trucked in. One obviously right after, before Dakota, and one after Dakota as well. So I sent a lengthy email to a gentleman, and I appreciate TJ has connections out there. So he provided connection to, is it Robert? Is that correct? Make sure I get the name right. Ryan, excuse me, Ryan. I'm not sure, is it Doty or Dowdy? Yeah. Okay. And basically, I won't go through this. I'll just highlight the things that I basically said. I said we have seasonal fluctuations. So I said each summer our district struggles with diminished water availability, often requiring us to truck in water by the tank load simply to maintain minimum supply and water quality standards. I also said sustainability concerns. This recurring need to import water is financially and logistically burdensome and does not offer sustainable long-term solution for our district. And then I also said with no direct water rights, we got our well within a different property over here. Our options for modifying or expanding our systems are limited, and we are mindful of complying with environmental regulations and respecting the rights of our neighboring landowners. We greatly appreciate what they have allowed our district to have access to for so long here. What I'm looking for, I said, is an assessment of our current infrastructure and setup, and then recommendations for improving water supply sustainability through possible alternative sources, storage upgrades, water right options, or efficiency strategies. So it says strategies to help balance natural seasonal fluctuations and reduce or eliminate the need for emergency water deliveries. And the last one, environmental and regulatory considerations that we should be aware of before. I don't have all that knowledge around the water components. So Ryan did reach out to me, and both Mr. Hinson, our head of maintenance, and myself had a meeting with him. And it was a good meeting. Ultimately, he provided us the Maple LC report that they had. He said we're basically in the same boat as a water situation is taking place down there as well. I want to make sure I go through this very carefully. He said, he gave me some maps here. He did bring out where our current spring, I won't say it's current because it's the house above it was torn down years ago and it's been filled in with rock. It was not producing water, or enough water. I'm assuming that's what was going on. He did provide a map that showcased where, I believe it was Dr. Phillips, I think, had poked some holes with whoever came out here and poked some holes in the ground. He said at the time there was no actual map and research about where to poke the holes. He said that he would have known about that at some point. There's no documentation of where that took place. I don't know how those things were, who came up to the consideration of where to go out in the forest and where they went to plug these holes, but they're on here. And obviously it showcases where our current site is, which is right over there. And the map talks about two different surfaces, the quaternary terraces, which is called the QT for short. He said it is primarily a poorly sorted silt, sand, and gravel. And he says the unit covers the majority of the lowlands within the study area. And the thickness of this unit, a little uncertain, he says, but likely they do not exceed 50 feet in most areas. He said in the middle reaches of the Nehalem River, which is right over there, in the vicinity of Elsie, the terrace levels are somewhat lower, and therefore your water yield will be about 21 gallons per minute. And he said that would be your best place to get water. The other one is the marine sedimentary rocks. He said that this hydrogeologic unit is an assemblage of siltstone, sandstone, mudstone, and clay stones. This is all where our holes were drilled prior by the wind administration of the 3 areas. This is where this was all drilled, which is not where you should be drilling. And it says that these are hamlet formations that were deposited in ancient marine environments that existed across the study area. Groundwater quality within this unit is commonly saline and can often be unfit for drinking water without subsequent treatment. And the well yields are typically very, very low, less than 10 gallons per minute. So then we talked a little bit further. Make sure I get my paperwork here. So if I'm over all over the place, just yell at me. I try to keep my thoughts organized here. So he said he would first recommend that we secure funding before we move forward with any plans to do anything at the moment. So he referenced Business Oregon or the county or utilize the Oregon Health Authority's Circuit Rider program. So I'm just beginning process of going through these things right now to take a look at them. He says, once you've obtained your funding, you'll be able to dig into, no pun intended, you'll be able to dig into everything in more detail, to make an informed decision about a path forward. And so that would well, the one thing I inquired about that spring, is that spring have any usage at all? Are we done with that spring? And I talked to Mike and I said, what is the history of that? Did it ever run the district? And he said he wasn't here during the initial stage. I don't know if anybody was here.
Spring used to run it.
Did it run a good portion of what we had here, or has it always been over here?
I'm not gonna remember that being there.
Okay. Because I don't know, I have no.
Yeah, I remember the old shed that used to be over it up there that was
Yeah,
falling
in the
down.
trees.
Yeah. And
There wasn't
they
much.
used to have a lot of water because I dug the drainage to bypass that spring. We were gonna build a baseball field, so I did it, and it had a lot of water then still coming out of it.
And it was, I believe, it was filled with rock. That was during the superintendent got getting mixed up in Gardner when he was here. I was working side by side with him a little bit, but that was during his transition out of it.
The big issue of that spring was, I think at the time, was treating it would cost to treat the water, but I believe now we're still in the same boat. We're treating the same amount of treatment for the current water. So,
We had,
Same treatment.
yeah, so I don't know. I think it was, I don't know. It needs to be explored by somebody that would know a little bit more.
It's all surface water. So
Because we have-
regardless which one you're using that well, if you use a spring, it's still gonna be a surface water treatment.
yeah, we've got the whole treatment system. I know we
Yes.
have, looking at Martha, we have the irrigation as well, which is a separate component that doesn't go through.
If you're in Sarah Seaside, you're doing the same right now as Fishhawk Lake. That's some treatment system here as those places.
Okay. And I've been in there. It's a very intriguing system in there. And I know I had another individual come in and talk to me about other alternatives to the current system we have. But like I said, this is all, I'm going down a new path for me. So this will be investigating and learning about all this in the last month, basically here. So he said, spring, is it usable? If so, what it would take to rehabilitate it? And the other one is he talked about this, the well over here. He said to rehabilitate that also, he said you have to come out and take a look at it and see was it constructed in the correct fashion or not. And if so, is there anything you can do to rehabilitate that? Because the irrigation water, we have no shortage of supply. That's coming through just fine. But when it comes to the other system, it is definitely, there's some issues involved with. So that was one area. Another one that you mentioned was also if you could get access, because the QT, the Quaternary Terraces, however you pronounce that word, that is over here by the Beneke Creek and also by the Nehalem River over here. And he says if you could tap the water over here, but once again, you'd have to ask for water rights with any one of our other neighbors on this other side. And then that led down to talk about water rights and permits and whatnot. And he said anything above 5,000 gallons will need a new water ground permit with the state of Oregon. And so I checked with Mike and said, how much do you utilize on an everyday basis over here? And 3,600, some real busy days, 4,500 gallons of water a day. And so he says traditionally we don't hit that unless you have a Ruby Coast or some major event coming through in the district. But so currently that's where we're at right now. Another aspect also is building another holding tank, but my thought process is, well, if we're not filling it up, if we don't have water filled up, unless it's during the winter time when the other one, they shut it off because it's already full, can we route that into another larger holding tank and fill that thing up all the way through so we have enough to sustain us through summer months. But without water, we don't have a school district here. I'm not saying we're gonna run out of water, but with the fourplex in addition, which there was very little conversation, I believe, that took place about.
No, there was lots of
Yeah, there
conversation.
was lots of conversation on fourplex water.
About the water? Yeah. Maybe whether that conversation was here, I don't know.
Something new that we've been short on.
Yeah.
Is we've added more buildings, still short on water.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
exactly.
So put the cart before the horse, if you ask me.
No. So I know I came to you before, not last year, but the year prior, because I had discussion with Senator Merkley's office and the secretary about potentially multi-million-dollar grants to come through for the state, federal grants. But once they found out that we had our source of water was not even on the district property, they backed out immediately once it was in another neighbor's property. So, so I guess I'm just saying I'm informing you. I'm doing a lot of research and I'm dissecting where to go. If you don't want me to go this direction, that's fine. But I know a couple years ago you asked me if I could go ahead and go forward with it, and I frankly have had a struggle trying to find time to get here. But I feel like with things going well, with the SPED director, also preschool program director, things are starting to fall a little bit away from my plate that I was tackling too many things. I can find some more time now to start delving into this, and I'd like to keep going into this and see what's there.
So the simple math behind it, we would have to get what, like a property donation?
Or
So
an easement,
it's gonna
maybe.
say some
Or
sort of
You need to
easement.
eat, if they cut across someone's property, then you need to get a hold of the water master, get water rights, which you're gonna have to go pretty high to get that information, because they're not yet for any.
Yep.
The water rights off in Nehalem is 0 right now,
Yeah,
to be given.
I just think for the school district, you'd have to be pretty evil to.
You have to go pretty high in the
Water
chain to
rights
get
for a
them
school.
to give you the permission from them.
Right.
But you have the stream.
Yeah.
But you should have water rights already too.
Oh, I believe you. I was told that.
They used to feed the football field in the stadium out there all the time.
I know with the water over here, you know,
'Cause that's what fed that tank out there.
what is that?
They used to feed that tank out there in the ground.
This one over here did.
The spring.
Oh,
Which I thought it still did, but it doesn't feed that anymore.
I don't think it does. I think when they put in the new track and all that, that was taken all out. Cause I argued that.
See,
part.
I'd like to see from somebody like with Ryan at Summit, a plan of kind of what we have. And especially since we are losing our head maintenance guy next year, of kind of getting something mapped out on as builds what we have with the new school, plumbing, water, current system, old system, what we're using, what we're
And
not.
what we need to get to.
Yeah,
where we-
and then looking at if we can get circuit riders on board with the state and maybe Business Oregon to get a small grant to get the funding to look to see if that's feasible, you know, to see if, you know, talk to the neighbor, see if he's open for it, and then go from there, I guess. Just to, I mean, it's probably a 5-year plan, but maybe we're, luckily the water hasn't been super expensive to truck it in, and it's usually for a couple of months and then we get by. But we've been in a drier climate the last couple of years, so.
Now, this is not a few month project. This is definitely gonna be a long term if we
Pardon my ignorance, but wouldn't insurance do something?
I don't believe, no, never, I mean.
I mean, just throwing out an
Yeah, I don't-
idea, like a catastrophic event, our water system just tanked.
Boy, I don't know the answer to that one. I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one.
Are you burning down the building? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
We won't
I
touch
know
that.
people.
That still ain't gonna help. I'm curious, like I said,
I'm
our
just-
spring
I'm
produces
just-
still.
Thinking outside of the box.
I've had
a little
several
bit here.
board members in the past tell me that were on the, that said that spring has a ton of water, more than the school would ever need.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's what I remember. It was always.
And I've been told, and I had that conversation with the past administration a couple times on trying to, look into that, and it never really got in. So that's part of what these guys, I think, can do for a minimal amount of money is give us kind of an observation. Yeah, you'd have to come out with boots on the ground a little bit and, maybe give us an overview if it's worth it or not.
I mean, it just seems to me like the insurance should do something for you. If you say, we're out of water and we've had to pay to truck water in, that's like,
We don't really want to raise our insurance stuff anymore.
well,
Really got-
You got that $200,000 for a special program?
I get where you're going, but I don't think
Yeah.
insurance works like that anymore.
well,
No, they quit that
right.
back when the tsunami theory came out. Took away your, no more on tsunami, if it hits the ground, it's a flood, that's flood insurance. You used to get all that in your insurance.
It's all an act of God now.
Everything. Now you get nothing in your insurance except if your house burns down.
Well, we need water for fire protection.
I mean, I think grant wise, they might, look at some of the underwriters with the Business Oregon might be able to kind of look at those angles.
There's a
And-
lot you can get out of that.
Yeah, and storage tank capacity too, if we end up having to go that way, if we are only buying 12,000 gallons a year, then it's not the end of the world to store a little more water, but I don't think it's the best solution.
No, It's not-
Especially with the other,
it's not sustainable.
it's not
It is
sustainable.
not,
Right. We'll probably build more houses there pretty soon. Yeah.
Okay, so just, those tanks in there are not big, and that building is really big. So I don't know if we can expand our tanks and
That's-
take more water in winter, but when I looked in there like last week, I was like, oh, I
Those
didn't know
are
they
only
were
your
this small.
filtration.
That's just filtration.
That's filtration. Your tank's over here doing the shop.
Yeah,
Got it. And is the spring on school property? Or
so do you know the wells over there?
The spring is.
the spring is?
The spring, so if you go on the trail in the back, go down the road past Fourplex, and there's a trail that goes in the forest there. It's, as soon as you start the trail in the forest, it's just off to the right-hand side down the hill.
It's over by this house.
20 yards.
So if we can't get the Myers to, allow that access, why don't we just focus on the spring?
Oh, that's one of the things is I would like to take a look at it.
I'm sure, and Myers have been very generous over the years. I mean,
Uh,
they're letting us use it with whatever. They just probably aren't going to sell it.
Right.
It's probably,
Myers is extremely generous.
Right, so I think, they're all for keeping the water going, but if we can look at, and we can have somebody look at it, and come up with a plan, then we can at least maybe go for a grant or try to have something. And that's what these guys kind of are part of, they can at least write up a plan and say, this is what we need. And with everybody else on board and give us a plan. I mean, I'm not a water hydrologist. I don't want to be, but the people I've talked to seem to know what they are doing in that field, so. So I would suggest we try to keep moving forward on
I
this.
would.
And I know it takes time and
I definitely would. I'm really curious on the spring. But
I wonder if it's a gold mine sitting there, we just.
I've always said something, but
it would make sense.
I could give you my 2 cents, but you wouldn't want it.
Sounds like it.
Okay, 9.4 agricultural program update. I'm assuming somebody else is gonna give
That's
us.
where all our water went.
Yeah, good water.
We got pickles.
Do you want me to?
Yeah,
do
come
this in
on.
a certain spot?
Yeah, come on.
Right there. The hot seat.
How's it going? I just sent an email last week for the advisory board, is that even on? Okay, good. The advisory board for our program of study that we switched to agricultural general. And so once I sent that, Corey asked me to, if I wouldn't mind just coming and talking about what I had sent out. So do you know that we started that advisory board?
I did, yeah, I shared that
Okay.
through the process. Yeah.
So that's been really great, and we've had some good conversations in one meeting, and then also separately corresponding with different people. So these are kind of some of the things that we have touched on in the last 2 months. So Mary Jackson is our regional coordinator for CTE, and she transferred us to an agriculture, food, and natural resource program of study, which is a AFNR. If you haven't heard that acronym before, it is used a lot. And so that has allowed us to have a lot of opportunity to umbrella a whole bunch of different programs under our ag program. One thing that the advisory board really talked about in July was they would really like to get welding into the school, as well as Corey's really been advocating for that. And so we had Carl Norman with Jewel Industries come in at the beginning of August, and he went through with me and a couple other people and looked at the weld shop, and it's in great condition. The infrastructure is there. We have quite a few machines. They do need to be tested. All the gases need to be tested. But he, I think, kind of gave us some confidence in like what we already have. And so with that, and with the hopeful grant we're going to get through the,
Which they just reached out to me today and said I pressured them. They think it's going to come out sometime. 3 weeks, 3 or 4
Okay.
weeks. I mean, they're pushing it to the end. But.
so there's a revitalization grant for CTE programs in Oregon that's coming out. It was supposed to open in August and it still hasn't opened, but you can get up to $250,000. And so we would like to write into it, and we're open to lots of thoughts, is to get the weld shop going and write in consultation, hopefully with somebody that could be local to help make sure we're doing it right. Because I don't have welding experience. I am very open to learning, but I don't want to like set up a shop the wrong way the first time. So writing that into the grant, and then with that consult, like whoever it's going to be, they would help guide me / if George Ray ends up wanting to do some focus there too. So we can offer at least one class a year to the kids to get them that something.
Do we have kids that are absolutely interested? in
Oh,
welding?
yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like the 8th graders last year, they talked about it all the
Oh,
time.
good.
And so I feel like because they're really coming into high school right now, they want it.
Okay,
There's many kids that asked about it.
okay.
And even if we can give them one class, and like Carl said, if they can, walk out of here being able to like cut
Mhm.
and weld pipe and angle and like a plate, great, because any employer is gonna want that. And it can fit under our ag
Mhm.
program of study.
Oh.
And so it will go towards their CTE certificate. So that's a big plus. So that's the weld shop part. And then within that grant, we would like to, if George Ray needs things for the wood shop, write things in to that. And then also write in the greenhouse that I've been working on different grants for. I still haven't heard back from the Kubota grant. That should be this month. So that's kind of the thought on how that money would be spent, a lot of infrastructure. And then if you have other thoughts, I would love to get emails about that too. Okay, so with I met with Brad Catton, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. And he works with ODF and W. He's also signed on to our advisory board. And so we're going to get our 5th and 6th graders out for a forestry day this month on the 25th. which will be really great. And then he is gonna work with me with another group of our kids to do side-by-side plantings somewhere out here in Jewel. So we can do like long-term research on like what happens when we plant these different species side by side. And so it'll be a really cool project with kids for hopefully 10 years, maybe longer. And I guess there was one of these planted by our kids in 2015, and it's never been gotten back to since then. And he told me that. And so we're gonna try and go back out to it. And it is on, I can't remember the road name right now, Mullenbach. It's on Mullenbach. So those are some thoughts on the ODF level. And then I talked to Brian Smerendid, maybe you know him, at the back to school night, and he proposed doing a forestry plan for our school property. And just having gotten one of those at our property, like our personal property, I know how dense they are. I mean, they're like this big. And so the more I thought about it, and I don't know how to do one, we hired someone to do one, but I do think it's also a really good long-term project for our kids, and it would also benefit our district in knowing what we have planted on the property and where things are aged, and also a really cool project for like a upperclassman in some capacity to know how to facilitate that. So that's, I'm gonna talk for a little bit longer. I'm sorry I do this. Okay. Let's see, our middle school horticulture class is going to 46 North Farm at the end of the month, which is a vegetable and flower farm on 202. And so they're gonna go harvest a whole bunch of beans, dried, and then they're gonna shuck the beans, and then they're gonna bring the beans back to the school, and they're gonna cook the beans and store the beans. And they're also gonna work with winter squash for storage, processing, harvesting, and all that good stuff. So those are kind of what we're doing in the next little bit. The FFA chapter, there's an application in this room, I think with Mr. Peterson. We are gonna submit tomorrow. And we started our intro to AFNR class with the case curriculum this year that I got trained on, and it's awesome. And the kids are really receiving it well. And so I talked to them about doing elections last week, and I was really nervous. And they all wanted to be on the board. They wanted to be part of FFA. So then we had to have full elections because there was multiple kids that wanted to be president, vice president, and so on. So we had our elections, and everybody is now in. And that's going to be submitted now that we have signatures, and we will hopefully this week be a official FFA chapter, and that's very exciting. Once that gets submitted, there's a lot more happening. We're going to go to a competition in November, January, and then state in March. So I have been talking to Tess Hall at Astoria. She's mentoring me. She was their advisor. And there's just a lot of opportunity and exposure through FFA. Very excited about this.
How many FFA students do we have?
So once we get this submitted and I can start entering them in, it is any child that is taking a agriculture class from 7th grade up to senior year.
Okay.
And then if they choose to be an active member, then they pay a small fee, which Astoria FFA and Tillamook FFA is funding all of our startup costs.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And they funded, I'm getting off track, they funded 3 nights at the state competition for our hotel rooms. And then the Ag Bag in Astoria, the woman that owns that, Callie, she sent out a social media post and raised us $1,000 in like 3 days, all for the program. So we're still figuring out how that's gonna work, and we're gonna navigate all that, but there's been a lot of community support and to get us going.
We did a lot of reports to fill out.
Okay, I think I was on something else, but anyway, so that's happening, and we successfully got our $3,500 grant from the Whole Kids Foundation. We got a $6,000 grant from Diac Ecology, and we are still waiting on the Kubota grant. and it said September, so I'm like, any day now, they're gonna
What's
tell me we
the
got it,
Kubota grant? What's the amount on it?
50,000
Wow. For the greenhouse.
For greenhouse.
for greenhouse / tractor implements.
I was gonna say, are they
have
gonna give it the
parameters.
tractor?
They have the parameters on how they like you spending it, but. Okay, I think that was all of my things to report. Okay, thanks.
That's a lot.
Great,
Thank you.
yeah.
Does anyone have questions?
Let's go get them, that 1 acre we have, go get them to clear it, scrub brush, and you can plant on it.
I think somebody else, I think Brian talked about that 1 acre too. I didn't even know that existed until like a couple weeks
Right up there in
ago.
the sharp corner, wherever the road kind of bounces, just before the peak house.
How do I get the children there?
Right
Okay.
through the field.
We just built a trail.
Does it go through somebody's property or is
Well-
it connected?
No, I believe you do cut across.
I don't think they'll get shot.
Saddle up the back there.
Oh, what's this?
Okay.
Probably higher out.
Not one will know.
Just go on the back.
Oh, you mean,
There's that one house past that, behind Adamson's.
what's Mary
Oh, Mary
Jane?
Jane Court,
Court?
Yeah.
Kiora.
Oh, that's her Mary.
I believe it's their property you would have to cut across.
Is it all cleared?
No, it's scrub brush, it's garbage.
Okay.
They said that it's value of timber, because I think we looked at it back when we built the gym. Before the gym, that it was no value, it was just trash.
Okay.
That acre, I think it's only
You know,
1
I
acre.
think Tim's still
It's
alive.
pretty
Mary Jane
small.
passed
Yeah,
away.
it's pretty,
Most of the land is back here.
Yeah, a
and I
couple
believe
years
it's kind
ago.
of one of those,
So I
because
think Tim,
it was plotted way back in the day for
No,
the schoolhouse clear out
oh,
on
was her
Boiler
husband.
Ridge.
Uh-huh.
It was never
And
used. When
I
they
think
sold
Pam-
Cavanagh, they had to give us
Pam
our piece
still
of
lived
property,
at
so
the
they gave us
but Mary Jane
that whole
passed away a
chunk.
few years ago.
Okay.
And the
up
other
there.
was- And John.
Yeah.
John-
I think,
I
yeah, I
don't know
mean,
where
yeah,
he
other
is
than
now.
getting there
He's
might be a
worked
little bit.
If he's still alive, I don't even know if he's still.
Can you like drive up in there and park
Yeah, she passed away.
You drive up there and walk in there. You can park on the edge of the road.
on the edge of the road?
Yeah, so they're in a lot of room like that.
Yeah, I'd love to go walk that sometime. I don't know, if that's like not easy to find, but,
Something good with that piece.
okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay, 9.5, the added item, senior trip discussion.
I just wanted to open this up a little bit. So I've been in the chair for, started my 4th year in the band director position for whatever it was, 19 years prior, it's 16 years prior, whatever it is. I wasn't really involved in the senior trip components. And then since this moment, I've had a number of advisors come through the realm here. And so I've been seeing it from the district perspective. I've been seeing it from the advisor's perspective. And TJ came by a little bit earlier today. I just was kind of throwing some things at him. And I got thinking, boy, I know it's been a tradition for the district for a long time. And I know ultimately the superintendent makes recommendations, things move forward. But I want to open this up to the board for discussion. I mean, we are at a point where we don't have very many staff members who want to take on this role. So when you hear the word advisor, we have a lot of people running for the hills. This specific role for the senior one, I don't know if I want to say it's gotten out of control, out of hand a little bit, but it encompasses a huge amount of time. I was talking to Abby, who did it last year. And, you asked how many hours does it take a week for the advisor role? And I talked to Abby before the board meeting, and she said on average, it's about 6 to 10 hours a week. And that was with 2 of them, 2 people co-doing the advisor role. I'm looking at this year's seniors. I believe we have roughly, I think it's 9 who are going on the trip. Let me rephrase that. 9 seniors going on the trip. 3 of them are deciding not to go. 7 of them are in the sporting programs. So that leaves only 2 kids, depending on what's going on with the sport, who are not involved with the anything going on in the court or on the field. So you got 2 kids who are literally doing a lot of the fundraising, and then you have the advisors themselves. And again, talking with Abby, that could be 3, that could be 4 events. And so I have, over the last 3 years, people come to me and express, it is a stipend position. It's $1,500 for a stipend for this role. But the hours are huge. I mean, there are a lot of hours. And then it's time away from family. When do you get all this stuff organized? And usually these individuals are people here that work in the district. I mean, they are people that work in the district. So when do you make that time? Our current advisor has to pull out of some of her work with her kids, with students. It's an educational assistant in the district. And she has to pull some time out just to make room for this. So everything's all prepped and ready to go while the kids are still in classes. And so that's been a struggle. You have all your travel expenses, all the things with airplane and insurance issues and all those kind of things. that the level of stress that I've seen, literally have seen from all our advisors has been pretty strong. Not to say that the district side also isn't fairly strong in terms of the stress of how all this looks. And so, yeah, you're seeing some of the policies coming through, Mike, just try to help alleviate some of those pain moments there. But I wanted to open this up and just say, what are your thoughts about the senior trip moving forward? Because it is, again, if our advisor decides that it's too much for them and they do not want to continue this year, I don't have anybody to pick up the slack. And we've sent out information, at least the advisor has. I'm going to follow up again tomorrow. But if anyone's willing to provide just a week or one event to help and assist, please do so. But she's not getting anybody any assistance right now. And so I'm going to follow up with an email tomorrow asking for some help if possible. But if this individual's not there, what do we do if there's no advisor? We don't have an advisor for freshman class. We don't have an advisor for sophomore. We have ad hoc some things that take place. We don't have one for the juniors. And we definitely, when we did have some people, they did not want to follow all the way through their senior year because they did not want to take on the monumental task of heading to New Orleans or heading to Hawaii, which seems to be where some of the kids want. And then what do you do when you have some students that are reliable? I mean, I lived in this world with my symphonies, and then you have people who don't show up. And boy, and so what for example, related like my symphonies, my musicians have no idea what I have to go through behind the scenes and the hours I put to make what goes out there run. And so I know the same thing happens here also. So then I had other people propose some things such as, do we have this down and say the district provides options such as maybe 3 options, and the district already plans where these locations are, so we know exactly how much they cost. We already know who we're going to do our accommodations through and who we're going to do the travel expenses through. So we do one that's that low cost somewhere in Oregon, somewhere in maybe California, and one maybe just a little bit further than that. Or do we do something all the way through and talk to Mr. White here about that as well? Do we just do a senior day where they go out and they do something for the whole day and have some fun, or senior night, or something? Or do we continue the road where we're going? But I can tell you, this has been a headache in my office for now starting my 4th year. It continues to be a headache in my office because it's a lot of stress from the advisor role. And then there's also discussions of what are the roles of the advisor? What is it we're supposed to do? So I'm trying to delineate that, but once again, how involved does the district get with that component also as well? So every advisor that comes through builds this a little bit differently for themselves and how it works for them. But it's just recurring, and I'm on my 4th year, and it's frustrating, just to be honest with you. Obviously, for the kids, I get it, but I've got people who are expressing to me, both internally, all internally, but I mean in terms of the district side and also the advisor side, that it's draining and it's very stressful. And if you haven't been told that over the years, this has been going on for quite some time. Literally, it's a time commitment.
But there's contracts.
It's a massive time commitment.
They can ask for increased contracts all the time. We should increase workload. Contracted.
And I get, to me, it seems strange. I don't remember this ever being, I was telling you earlier, I don't ever remember in my, high school years of ever being an issue. It was always an advisor. It didn't seem, of course, now hindsight, I was not, the one scheduling the time, but it didn't seem, there was a lot more fundraising. There was a lot more stuff going on the weekends of doing things.
See, and we didn't have these elaborate trips either. I mean, you may have gone to California, you may have gone to, but never New Orleans. We never did trips like
Well, there
that.
was classes that raised a lot and did well, that did do some bigger trips, Hawaii trips and stuff. And it
But
was like, I remember older classmen having them.
I think getting parents to help out the stands, those are being really hard to get to school policies.
But once again,
It's making it very difficult to get parents to even help out.
that's, see, the advisor feels challenged over the years, but because the advisor, they feel that's their work. They have to do. They have to reach out to the families and the parents and communicate all the different components. And when they're not getting reception from various components, it's challenging because they may find themselves all of a sudden in a fundraising issue where there's only one kid helping out or 2 kids helping out.
See, and the trips are always dependent on how much they raised. And if you didn't have the cooperation of the whole class and you didn't raise a lot of money, you didn't go.
And they've got that down pretty solid right now, the last 3 years now. They've had those documents go through. It was created by our staff members. But if you're not interested in fundraising, doing all this, and so far it's been working, that part's been working fine.
I believe it was brought up 3 locations before COVID hit. there would only be 3 locations they could go to: Disneyland.
See, you raise this mark, you can go there.
Yeah, if
you
they
hit
made
this
enough
mark,
money to
you're
go to
going here,
Disneyland.
right?
Well,
And that's when that,
why was
that's when
that?
that paperwork came out, that there was no more fundraising.
That
For
was
the kids, they
$10,000
could only
match
do the
by the
senior
district.
stand, and that's why the school was throwing money at, because no one else could raise money. That's why the school was adding money to the senior stand.
But I've also had conversations about a lot of the fundraising that takes place for the district has only been for seniors. And so therefore the rest of our district doesn't
That
have. an
started right at
opportunity.
COVID.
And so all the other kids in the district, we don't have that opportunity per se. And I know there's other programs being built that have already talked about fundraising for their programs. And so we send our seniors off, which is a great thing. I get that. But in the end, you know, those 7, 8, 10, 12 kids experience that, and a few staff members, you know, they come back, then it doesn't have any lasting benefit in the district.
Now, these seniors, have they already determined where they want to go this year?
They haven't started.
They haven't even done,
No.
okay.
No, their first fundraiser was today for the
Okay.
All about it. And then,
I mean, if you're limited to
For the
fundraising
Big
at
Coast.
senior stand, I mean, you're not gonna go very many.
No, you're
places.
not going anyplace, yeah, because senior stand's not going to
Stephen
support.
Brothers gives them 5,000 a year.
Right.
They'll take care of the cemetery twice. They'll give the cemetery twice a year for 5,000.
And so then, I'm just being transparent again, then further discussion opens up about that also for me today. Another person talked to me about that, said, okay, what's the responsibility when you start taking power equipment? I brought this up to you also, when you take power equipment that has sharp, right, blades, lawnmower equipment, and who provides that? I mean, if it's not the individuals up there and the district doesn't provides it, then how do you guarantee that that equipment is in good shape? And then what if there's an accident? Then who's responsible? And so that went down the insurance route because we've been having insurance discussions, and so all of a sudden that's the rabbit hole that started going through in my office earlier. So this is what I'm talking about, where this is it's become an issue for the district about how do we make this work? This isn't an issue every year. I'm trying to find a solution now. I can't appease everybody, but I'm trying to find a solution. So that's why I just bring it to you, because ultimately I'm gonna have to make some sort of recommendation, because I can't keep having the district go down this course of action all the time. We're trying to make the situation feasible for all. It's, in my mind, it's either senior night, senior day, or limit it to 2 to 3 options. Cadillac plan, middle plan, or just Cadillac or not Cadillac. And it's either Oregon or California. District decides where this, the traveling, we decide.
Should give some other options to go a little more east,
And
somewhere. That seems
I
like
guess-
a bad selection no matter what.
I agree.
but I'm just another example is, we know the cost, we know the expense, the class knows the expense, they know what they have to do, and it's not a good. It's a US sentence.
Texas. Go to Texas.
Yeah,
I said, go to Texas.
So I know,
Texas is where it's at.
I don't know. I don't see the fundraising changing for the kids here unless the parents are, my only eye-opening experience of fundraising that I've seen was when my daughter went to Seaside, which, the fundraising committees are raising $60,000 for these kids. And they're meeting at the Elks Club every month. So I know the school's not involved with the setup. This is completely,
But we can't do that here.
yeah.
We
We
could not
don't
do it.
have, I know, we do not have the options. You got maybe 10 kids, 12 kids, and you got 3 parents that are involved out of the 12. So it's,
Even if we tried, the school won't let us do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way our policies are set right now.
And you look at the word advisory, I mean, I look at that as more or less, okay, obviously help advise what's going on, but you're not leading every aspect of the whole shebang, but that's not what this is. It's advisory, or literally having to take everything by the horns and guide every minute. And it's Abby, who was our one for last year, she said, as you gear towards the end, it really ramps up even more. And then you put all the travel stuff and try to coordinate all that, and it turns into a part-time job.
And she just doesn't want to do that.
After 1 year, she said that's a lot of work. Once a month.
She's just getting good.
yeah, it seems
Like I said,
ridiculous.
a
Change
parent can't
travel
help out in this.
every year.
It takes a couple times to
Oh.
do anything
I'll
before
look
you're good
at
at
her
it.
about that. Because it's a lot of work. I know you're teasing, but that was.
It's a lot to put on the staff members, but
Yeah.
like I say, a parent is not able to step in and help out by the way our rules are set up.
So, are they required to do a senior project, like a senior?
Yeah. They do.
Yeah. Can they be in charge of it?
you say,
Like as a project, like a city
that type of
project?
project?
Yeah,
I mean, currently we have it based towards their career path for the head policy that we have for.
Let's say why you're traveling.
right.
Unless they want to be something
When
specific.
I graduated from Seaside, and anyway, we had to do a civic project, right? And it was a community service project. I don't see why we couldn't make that available, right? Something along those lines, but more aimed towards their own trip, right? Where they actually go in and they organize it.
I see what you're saying. I mean, possibly. I don't want to say excuses because they're not all excuses. Some are, I'm sure, very valid. But you've got students, you're saying when some of these activities take place, they've got other commitments.
Sure.
Yeah. Such as jobs, or got some single families out there. So
Some-
some out of here, some go there. So we're gonna still come across all that. So, I just want to throw it at you because that's another thing I'm working on right now as well. Trying to figure out how to make this something where a tradition we don't, kill a tradition of the district here. I think it's been a very special thing. Every time I talk to somebody who's not our district, they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Your district still does that." Yes, we do. But I'm trying to figure out how to let some steam out from both sides.
So you're saying appoint a person.
I get voluntold all
That's
the
what they
time.
did when I was in school. I mean, it was on a rotation.
That's how it still was when we were in school too.
What?
It was the rotation, and sometimes you got a good advisor and sometimes you didn't, but it's,
Yeah.
And our advisor followed us all the way up.
Advisor.
I mean, your freshman year, your advisor was there for you. I mean, you had 4 years to plan your stuff and fundraise. We weren't stuck to the restraints of it here. I mean, car washes and stuff on the weekends and whatever you could do, can drives. I don't know. To me, it's like we're enabling them a little bit by not allowing them to do that and then just saying, here, you're gonna go here. I mean, if you want to do more, you should be allowed to do more. But I mean, if we have to pay a stipend a little bit more, if the stipend hasn't changed in 20 years, have they always paid the stipend?
Yeah, it hasn't changed for a number of years.
I mean,
It's
if the
based off
workloads,
of it's based off of the CBA or the certified.
Based off the base pay back.
it'd be
So
interesting to
every year
kind of have
changes.
a conversation with them to say, what would this be required to be worth your time, to be away from your family, to put the extra time in? Or, I mean, it's great if they work here because they're obviously able to have time here that they're able to utilize rather than.
The contract is renegotiated this year. Certified, so.
I don't want them to feel that they're that overwhelmed that they're just gonna drop the ball and not do it if they,
Well, that's where I will need to sit down and I will need to put more guidelines on it, specifying specifically, because I've come across a different personality of how to do this. People who go forth and just do it, and what the vision they have, others that want to prescribe our way through and everything in between. So, the district, needs to put it down on paper and say, this is what the process is.
So do we need to rethink our policy to let these students have more flexibility in working and
Well,
raising money for their trip?
part of it is the handling of the money. My mindset, because I feel like I'm looking at Tammy here, but we have our advisors present there. But we need to have some adult supervision at all times there. And when we don't have any adults outside of the advisor volunteering their time to jump in, then the advisors feel kind
they're
of.
not volunteering.
But I think your comment on adults means staff,
Currently, yes.
because it cannot be parents.
It cannot.
See what I'm saying? You cannot be a parent and help out anywhere.
Why can't you be a parent and help out? Like,
How do you go and let them in?
Is that not liability to have a parent involved? I mean, if a parent were to.
Every time I've heard any parent try to come in the senior stand to help out, it's like they can't do it. They're always pushed out. So
It shouldn't be
Who
that
pushes
way.
them out? I don't understand
Yeah,
this.
who
I'm
pushes
I'm not understanding.
It shouldn't be
it's
that
all,
way.
it's the process, the way they have to go through it all.
What process? I'm not
As far as like
understanding
background
any of
checks
this.
and all that stuff.
Background checks, and they have to be trained to handle the money now. There's a whole lot of things that falls in. It's pretty much staff member.
That sounds pretty, I don't know. I don't want to look at that because I think there's gotta be some ways to work around that to make that a little bit better. I'm sure they're not beating down the door trying to help, but I mean, either way, if they try and we roadblock them right off the bat, that's not gonna be good.
Yeah, because why try? I mean, if you're beating them out when they're trying to come in, they're not gonna come. So we've got to find some kind of middle ground so that we can have parents come in and help.
Even if it's 2 or 3 parents per class coming up that has maybe gone through a little bit of training or some background venting, then at least doesn't put that advisor having to be there all the time. I'm sure that's gonna be completely way overwhelming for an advisor, so.
That's currently how they feel, yeah, in general.
Yeah. I mean, you got a bunch of kids you're trying to, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't, I mean, I'm open to any options that's gonna help out, that's.
Okay. I'll take that information and I'll play with it a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah. Discussion on that. Audience clarification.
I just want to say something about the senior trip. I know you guys didn't hear too much about it at the hear from the kids themselves, but you sent a lot of kids on an airplane for the first time, and hearing like all the firsts and mind-blowing experiences that they got to have on their trip. It's worth it to, instead of shut it down, try to open doors for these kids, because they have an opportunity to create that and work for it, and they're willing to. I just think it's worth it.
Well, I agree. You give it an opportunity to kids that may not ever have the opportunity to do some of those things.
For sure.
It doesn't need to be going to, across the world. Yeah. Thank you. I do agree. Okay, 11.0, board of director time. I think we'll start at this.
No.
We'll go with Director Songer. Go ahead.
Oh. Well, Martha, thanks for the update on the ag/welding potentially / natural resources and future farmers. Boy, you've got a lot going on. So thank you for the updates. It's so exciting. And it was good to hear from the principal how the year's gotten started. It's exciting to hear that, you're right in the middle of the thick of all the professional development and when I heard you talking about the teachers are collaborating, I'm like, well, I think they already do that. So there's probably more to it than what I'm picking up from you, but it sounds very good. And there's always room for more collaboration, I would imagine. So thanks for that update. And I don't know, it's just my heart is heavy with a lot of the recent events, and I'm sure everybody here has their own way of coping, but I just feel like we're in a special place where we can focus on what's important, which is improving ourselves, improving our kids, our community. And wherever we feel a void, can we just fill it with that positive energy and caring for each other? And, we are the society we make. So it really, if we think about it in really personal terms, I think that there's still a way to, deal with, process, and move forward and stay close to each other, take care of each other. So I just want to say that.
Well said. For next time, that's too much to follow. What she said. Director Dietrich.
Yeah, Mr. White, it was great to hear your feedback and hear everything settled in place so well in the school district. And then Martha, again, you take the meeting. I mean, really you do. I mean, the welding shop, just to hear that that's gonna take off again is amazing. That's great. And then the FFA chapter, congratulations on where you've got to on that, so. Well done.
Yeah, good job, Corey. You're doing good to Corey.
Yeah.
My son's been very, he brings home his Chromebook and showing me his grades and how proud he is of his grades. I'm like, it's week 2. They might start you here and, say, hey, we're looking pretty good right now. I'm not sure he's looking for some sort of incentive or whatever, but yeah, the welding program, great. I think it's a great idea with trying to do a forest plan up there. I think that'd be awesome. You know, I think when we planted trees up there a couple different times, we planted them, we've removed them, without a plan, which would have been nice to have something a little more solid, back then. So I think that's huge. And there's enough bigger trees up there in the hillside and stuff that would really be good for the kids. So yeah, I think that's good. I mean, glad sports is off to a good start and kids are hanging in there and football's still going. And I know it was a rough game the other night, but I mean, hopefully that, you know, well, I learned a lot either way. So, Director Drew.
I'm just thrilled that school has started. Everything seems to be going fairly easy and good, and just continue that. And Ms. Martha, thank you for all your help with the ag. And I'm excited also about the welding, because I think, and I would love to see some girls in that class, because they can weld too. So anyway, keep up the good work,
You're
everybody.
gonna come down and show them how. Get them going. Are you gonna show?
No. No,
She'll learn though.
but I can certainly learn.
That's wrong, that's we had a couple years ago that's doing it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I know several people in our field that are the best welders.
You've got it.
Director Wallner.
No, thanks for your information. That was awesome. Sounds like you're staying good with that. Leave the water alone. But
Leave the hose on.
vinegar, not water. No, and really, thanks for being here, both of you and the senior trip comment. I really appreciate that. Because, yeah, that was a lot of information from the seniors that we don't all get back from the trip. So, yeah. Corey, you got beat up because policies does not touch actions. You might want to thank Tammy for her time today for helping me move my decimal point over. So I had to go back and reread my policy. I'm like, oh, that was that much money. So, but no, thank you. That's really all I have.
Okay. I have had people reach out to me in the community with welding stuff too, that would be willing to help, that wanted to help. So, you know, if you get to that point or something, we want to get, Carl would be great. Hopefully he can do it. I just don't know if he can do it all the time. And it might be a good idea to have some other couple people, and they're union pipe fitter guys, so.
You wanna email each other or?
Yeah, just, yeah, give me a call or. Okay, 12.0 items for future meeting. We have 12.1 building use fee schedule. 12.2 House Bill 2684 integrated pest management plan. And 12.3 staff handbook. Is there anything else we'd like to add on there? Yep. House Bill.
Gatsby 54.
Oh, Gatsby, yes, Gatsby 54. Which one? Gatsby is GASB 54. Particularly policy, more policy. No, 12.4, we're on GSOB 54. Martha, hopefully you can be here next meeting too.
Do you want me to?
You follow up right after the policy. Maybe right before. Okay, item 13, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Director Wallner has a motion. You have a second?
I'll second that.
Under second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Adjourn at 7:54. You got that document? You have that document?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you. That was sign was a lot.
No, it's an extra one.
I know. What's that? Word.
I guess.
Yeah.
I know.
Father.
Oh, yeah.
Super.
Oh, all right.